Deep in the vast expanse of space, humanity had always been seen as the cosmic joke. Advanced civilizations from distant galaxies watched us with amusement, treating our species like entertainment. Primitive beings stumbling through the cosmos with our basic spacecraft and limited understanding of dimensional physics. That was until 6 months ago when everything changed. I remember that day clearly, serving as First Officer Sarah Chen aboard the TSS Odyssey. We were conducting routine patrols near the Orion Nebula when our sensors detected an unusual energy signature. The massive Drachnid fleet, which had been toying with Earth's outer colonies for decades, appeared through their quantum gates. Their crystalline ships, each the size of a small moon, filled our view screens. Amusing little humans, their transmission crackled through our comms. Still playing with your toys in space. The laughter that followed made my blood boil. Captain Richards, a veteran of countless space battles, remained surprisingly calm. His weathered face showed not fear, but a hint of a smile. What the Drachnids didn't know was that while they were busy mocking us, humanity had been working in secret. The TSS Odyssey wasn't just another patrol ship. It was humanity's greatest achievement, a vessel capable of harnessing the theoretical seventh dimension. Decades of research, countless sacrifices, and the combined brilliant minds of Earth's scientists had led to this moment. "All hands to battle stations," Captain Richards announced, his voice steady and determined. The crew moved with practiced precision, but I could feel the tension in the air. We were about to attempt something never before seen in the history of space warfare. The Drachnids continued their approach, their energy weapons charging. They expected another easy victory, another chance to demonstrate their supposed superiority. On our bridge, Engineering Officer Chen was calibrating the dimensional core, her fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "Sir, the seventh dimensional matrix is stable," she reported. "We're ready." That's when everything shifted. The laws of physics as we knew them began to bend. The space around our ship rippled like water, and for a brief moment, I swore I could see infinite possibilities converging into a single point. The Drachnid fleet's laughter turned to confusion, then to something I'd never heard in their transmissions before: fear. What happened next would change the course of human history forever. The TSS Odyssey's true power began to manifest, reality itself seeming to warp around us. The mighty Drachnid ships, once so imposing, now looked small and vulnerable. Their advanced shielding, impenetrable to conventional weapons, meant nothing in the face of seventh-dimensional warfare. The tide had turned. Humanity, long dismissed as the galaxy's jesters, was about to demonstrate just how far we'd come. As I stood on the bridge watching the dimensional energy build up around our ship, I couldn't help but think about every human who had dreamed of the stars, every scientist who had been ridiculed for their impossible theories, and every colony that had suffered under alien aggression. The Drachnids were about to learn a crucial lesson: never underestimate humanity's potential. As Captain Richards gave the order to activate our main systems, I realized this wasn't just about winning a battle. It was about showing the galaxy that humanity's time as the cosmic joke was over. The real question wasn't whether we would survive this encounter, but whether the universe was ready for what humanity was about to become. As our ship's systems reached full power, I understood that we were standing at the threshold of a new era, one where humanity would finally take its rightful place among the stars. The galaxy's laughter was about to die in their throats, and I had a front-row seat to watch it happen. The dimensional energy surged through the TSS Odyssey's hull, creating patterns of light that defied description. Through the view screen, I watched as our ship's power began to affect the very fabric of space-time. The Drachnid's crystalline vessels, once shimmering with arrogance, now reflected our otherworldly glow with an almost fearful luminescence. Captain Richards stood from his command chair, his eyes fixed on the main display. "Send the message," he ordered. His voice carried the weight of humanity's long struggle. We had prepared this moment, rehearsed it countless times, but nothing could have truly prepared us for the reality of what we were about to do. Communications Officer Taylor activated the ship-wide broadcast, her voice clear and unwavering. "Attention Drachnid fleet. For decades, you've treated Earth and its colonies as your playground. You've mocked our achievements, dismissed our potential, and caused untold suffering to our people. That ends today." As she spoke, I remembered the classified briefings about Project Seventh Heaven, the top-secret initiative that had led to our ship's creation. The project had started 30 years ago after the devastating Battle of Proxima Centauri, where we lost thousands of colonists to Drachnid raids. Earth's governments had finally united under a single purpose: to develop technology that would level the playing field. The Drachnids' response came quickly, but their usual mockery had an edge of uncertainty. "Your primitive understanding of dimensional physics cannot harm us. Stand down, and we may spare your crew." Their transmission carried less conviction than usual, as if they were trying to convince themselves more than us. Engineering Officer Chen's voice cut through the tension. "First Officer Chen, the dimensional matrix is showing unusual patterns. Something's happening that wasn't in the simulations." She pulled up a holographic display that showed energy readings spiraling into configurations we'd never seen before. I moved to her station, studying the readings. The seventh dimension wasn't just bending around our ship. It was reaching out, like tendrils of pure mathematical possibility, touching the space around the Drachnid fleet. Their mighty ships began to shimmer, not with their usual crystalline brilliance, but with a deep, profound distortion that seemed to question their very existence in our reality. "Captain," I reported, "the dimensional effect is spreading faster than we anticipated. The Drachnid's quantum shielding. It's not just failing, it's being fundamentally altered at a level we don't fully understand." The enemy fleet's formation began to waver. Several of their smaller ships attempted to retreat, their quantum drives engaging, but the seventh dimensional field had already enveloped them. Their faster-than-light jumps simply couldn't calculate proper vectors through the warped space we created. Captain Richard's expression remained stern, but I could see the ghost of satisfaction in his eyes. "They're trapped," he stated simply. "For the first time in history, the Drachnids can't run from a fight they started." But victory wasn't assured yet. Our sensors detected massive energy buildups within the Drachnid vessels. They were preparing something, perhaps their own dimensional technology that we hadn't seen before. The tension on our bridge ratcheted up another notch as we realized this battle was far from over. "Sir," Officer Taylor called out, her voice tight with concern, "we're picking up multiple transmissions between their ships. They're speaking in some kind of encrypted frequency we've never encountered before. Whatever they're planning, they're coordinating something big." The space between our ships began to ripple with competing dimensional energies. We had unleashed something unprecedented, but the consequences remained unknown. As humanity's first true step into higher dimensional warfare, we were writing the rules as we went along. The question was, would we live long enough to document them? The Drachnid flagship, a massive crystalline structure that dwarfed even our most ambitious space stations, began to pulse with an ominous purple energy. Our sensors screamed warnings as reality itself seemed to buckle under the strain of competing dimensional forces. The crew of the TSS Odyssey held their breath, knowing we were witnessing something unprecedented in human history. Multiple dimensional fractures detected. Engineering Officer Chen's voice carried an edge of controlled panic. "They're attempting to counter our seventh dimension technology with some kind of reversed entropy field. Our containment systems are holding, but barely." Her fingers flew across the holographic controls, making micro-adjustments to keep our ship stable. Captain Richards turned to me, his face illuminated by the ethereal glow of dimensional energies clashing in space. "Sarah, remember what Dr. Carter said during the final briefing about the theoretical eighth nodal point?" I nodded, recalling the controversial discussion that had divided our scientific team. It was considered too dangerous, too unpredictable. But now we might not have a choice. The ship shuddered as another wave of energy washed over us. Through the view screen, we watched in awe as space itself began to fold and unfold like origami made of starlight. The Drachnid fleet was attempting to break free of our dimensional trap, their ships straining against the fabric of reality itself. "Sir," Officer Taylor called out, "I'm intercepting fragments of their internal communications. They're scared." She paused, listening intently. "They're calling us the Awakened Ones. I think we've genuinely surprised them." But our advantage was slipping. The Drachnid's counterattack was growing stronger, their combined fleet generating enough power to challenge our control over the seventh dimension. Warning lights flashed across every station as our systems struggled to maintain stability. I made my way to the engineering console, reviewing the calculations with Officer Chen. The eighth nodal point was theoretical, a mathematical concept that suggested we could briefly touch something beyond even the seventh dimension. The risks were enormous, but watching our dimensional field weaken under the Drachnid's assault, I knew we were running out of options. Captain, I turned to Richards, my voice steady despite the chaos around us. I recommend we attempt to access the eighth nodal point. Our simulations suggest it could create a cascading effect through their fleet's quantum structure. It's dangerous, but a violent shudder ran through the ship, cutting off my words as several systems temporarily went dark. The bridge crew worked frantically to restore power as the Drachnid fleet pressed their advantage. Their massive ships began to arrange themselves in a formation we'd never seen before, their crystalline structures resonating in perfect harmony. Whatever they were planning, it was big. They're charging their primary weapons, Officer Taylor reported, her voice tense. Energy readings are off the charts. If they fire now, with space already this unstable. She didn't need to finish the sentence. We all knew the consequences would be catastrophic. Captain Richards stood, his decision made. Begin eighth nodal point calculations. Alert all hands to brace for dimensional shift. He turned to address the bridge crew directly. What we're about to attempt has never been done before. Not by humans, not by Drachnids, not by any species we know of. If we succeed, we change everything. If we fail, he let the words hang in the air. As our ship's systems began the complex calculations necessary to attempt something beyond even the seventh dimension, I watched the Drachnid fleet through the view screen. Their massive weapons were almost fully charged, the space around their ships distorting with unimaginable energy. We were moments away from either humanity's greatest triumph or its most spectacular failure. The fate of Earth, its colonies, and perhaps the very nature of space-time itself hung in the balance. And as the final calculations began to process, I realized we were about to cross a line from which there would be no return. As our systems initiated the eighth nodal point sequence, something unexpected happened. The space between our ship and the Drachnid fleet began to shimmer with a golden light we'd never seen before. At first, we thought it was an effect of our dimensional manipulations, but the energy signature was completely foreign to both human and Drachnid technology. Sir, Officer Taylor's voice cracked with disbelief. We're picking up a transmission from inside the dimensional rift. The bridge fell silent as she patched it through. The message that came through wasn't in any language we recognized, but somehow we could all understand it perfectly. Children of the lower dimensions, the voice resonated in our minds rather than our ears. Your battle threatens the fabric of existence itself. A massive form began to materialize between our fleet and the Drachnids. A ship that seemed to be made of pure light and consciousness, dwarfing even the largest Drachnid vessel. Captain Richards stepped forward, his face illuminated by the otherworldly glow. We're detecting temporal anomalies throughout the sector, he announced, studying the readings. Whatever we've done, we've attracted attention from. Something else. The golden ship's presence seemed to distort our very perception of reality. Engineering Officer Chen's console suddenly lit up with readings that defied our understanding. The eighth nodal point calculations are showing something impossible, she reported, her voice trembling. There are mathematical patterns emerging that suggest this was meant to happen, like we were being guided to this moment. The Drachnid fleet had frozen in place, their weapons still charged but holding fire. Their next transmission surprised us all. The architects, they have returned. The fear in their voice was palpable, even through the universal translators. For the first time, we realized there was something that terrified even the mighty Drachnids. I moved to the captain's side, reviewing the sensor data. Sir, the dimensional distortions are forming a pattern. It's like we're seeing the blueprint of reality itself. The golden ship began to pulse with energy, each wave sending ripples through both our seventh dimensional field and the Drachnid's defensive formations. Your species, the voice echoed again, both of you have stumbled upon forces beyond your comprehension. But this conflict was foreseen. Images began flooding our minds, glimpses of ancient civilizations, of wars fought across dimensions we couldn't comprehend, of a universe far more complex and interconnected than we had imagined. Officer Taylor's hands flew across her console. Captain, I'm detecting similar ships appearing across the galaxy. Every major conflict zone, every disputed territory, they're all being visited. The implications were staggering. This wasn't just about our battle with the Drachnids anymore. Something fundamental was changing in the universe itself. The eighth nodal point calculations continued in the background, but now they seemed to be adapting, integrating with the strange energy emanating from the golden ship. Our displays showed impossible readings, dimensions folding in on themselves, time flowing in multiple directions at once, reality itself seeming to hold its breath. We have watched and waited, the voice continued, as you learn to crawl through space, to walk through dimensions. Now you must choose. Will you continue this path of destruction, or are you ready to understand your true place in the cosmic tapestry? Captain Richards stood at attention, his voice firm despite the overwhelming situation. Our goal was never destruction, he stated. We sought only to defend ourselves, to prove humanity's worth among the stars. The golden ship's response came not in words, but in a surge of energy that connected with both our ship and the Drachnid fleet. In that moment, we all saw something that changed everything we thought we knew about our existence, about the purpose of our technological advancement, and about the true nature of the dimensional warfare we had stumbled into. The real question was no longer about winning or losing this battle. It was about whether humanity and the Drachnids were ready for the truth that the architects were about to reveal. As the golden ship's energy began to envelope us completely, I realized we were about to learn why the universe had led us to this exact moment in space and time. The golden energy from the architects' ship enveloped both our vessel and the Drachnid fleet, creating a shared consciousness that transcended physical boundaries. In that moment of connection, we understood the devastating truth. Our breakthrough into the seventh dimension hadn't been our achievement alone. We had been part of a grand experiment, centuries in the making. Through this cosmic link, we saw how the architects had subtly guided both humanity and the Drachnids, pushing us toward technological advancement through carefully orchestrated conflicts. The Drachnids' superiority, our desperate innovation, all pieces of an ancient plan to evolve both species beyond their current limitations. Your weapons, the architect's voice resonated within our minds, are not meant to destroy, but to create. As if to demonstrate, the golden ship pulsed once more, and our seventh dimensional field merged with the Drachnid's quantum technology. The resulting surge of energy didn't tear reality apart as we had feared. Instead, it began to heal ancient dimensional fractures we hadn't even known existed. Captain Richards stepped forward, his voice steady despite the overwhelming revelation. All this time, our warfare was actually training for something greater. The answer came not from the architects, but from the Drachnid fleet commander, whose holographic image now stood on our bridge, their crystalline form shimmering with new understanding. We were blind. The Drachnid commander spoke, their usual arrogance replaced with humility. Our species' conflict forced us both to reach beyond our limitations, to touch the very fabric of reality itself. The architects needed us to learn this power not for destruction, but for preservation. Engineering Officer Chen's console suddenly lit up with unprecedented readings. Captain, the eighth nodal point. It's stabilizing. The combined energy from both fleets is creating something impossible. We watched in awe as space itself began to reconstruct around us, revealing tiers in reality that had existed since the dawn of time. But as this revelation sank in, our sensors detected something alarming. A massive wave of dark energy was approaching, a cosmic cancer that had been consuming entire galaxies, hidden from both our species by dimensional barriers. This was the true threat the architects had been preparing us for. Now you understand, the architect's voice echoed. Your mastery of dimensional warfare was never meant for fighting each other. You are to be the guardians, the protectors of reality itself. The golden ship began to fade, leaving behind knowledge embedded in both our technologies, the truth about how to combine our strengths. Captain Richards turned to the Drachnid commander's hologram. Your fleet's quantum crystalline technology, combined with our seventh-dimensional understanding. The Drachnid commander nodded, completing the thought. Together, we can create a defense against this darkness. As if in response to this realization, our ship's systems began to harmonize with the Drachnid fleet. The eighth nodal point calculations, merged with their quantum matrix, created a new kind of energy shield, one that could protect not just ships, but the very fabric of space-time. The dark wave approached, its tendrils of void energy reaching toward our sector of space. But now we were ready. Humanity and Drachnids, once bitter enemies, engaged their combined technologies. The resulting burst of dimensional energy created a cascading barrier of golden light that spread across the galaxy, sealing the tears in reality and pushing back the encroaching darkness. Yet, as we celebrated this unprecedented victory, a final transmission from the architects gave us pause. You have passed the first test, but the universe holds darker secrets still. Your journey as guardians has only begun. The message ended, leaving us with the weight of our new responsibility and the knowledge that somewhere out there, an even greater challenge awaited. The laughter that had once echoed through space at humanity's expense was gone, replaced by a solemn respect between two species who had discovered their true purpose. As I looked out at the combined fleet, now shimmering with shared power and purpose, I realized that our greatest achievement wasn't mastering the seventh dimension. It was learning when not to use it for war. In the days that followed our encounter with the architects, both humanity and the Drachnids began the complex process of transforming from adversaries to allies. The TSS Odyssey became a symbol of this unprecedented cooperation, its halls now filled with both human and Drachnid scientists working to understand the vast knowledge left behind. I stood with Captain Richards in the newly established Joint Command Center, watching holographic displays of our combined fleets patrolling dimensional weak points throughout the galaxy. The same Drachnid ships that had once terrorized our colonies now worked alongside human vessels, their crystalline structures resonating in harmony with our seventh-dimensional technology. First Officer Chen, a Drachnid scientist, approached, their crystalline form catching the starlight. We've decoded more of the architect's data. The dark energy wave we repelled. It was just an echo of something far more ancient. They projected a map showing countless galaxies, each marked with warning signs of dimensional instability. The truth was both terrifying and inspiring. Our petty wars had nearly blinded us to a threat that could unravel the very fabric of existence. Yet in pushing each other to the brink, we had unknowingly prepared ourselves for a greater purpose. The universe needed guardians who understood both the power and responsibility of dimensional manipulation. Engineering Officer Chen had been right. The mathematical patterns weren't random. They were part of a cosmic blueprint, a guide left behind by the architects for species ready to evolve beyond their primitive conflicts. Our breakthrough into the seventh dimension hadn't just been about developing new weapons. It had been about proving we could handle powers beyond our comprehension. Captain Richards gathered the joint crew for a final briefing before we embarked on our first official mission as Dimensional Guardians. Today, we begin a new chapter, he announced, his voice carrying the weight of history. Our ships will no longer patrol borders between species, but the borders between realities themselves. The Drachnid commander, now our ally, added their own thoughts. Our children will read of this day not as the end of a war, but as the beginning of understanding. The laughter that once divided us will be replaced by psalms of unity. As we prepared to depart, Officer Taylor picked up unusual readings from the edge of known space, possible signs of other species beginning their own journey into dimensional physics. The architect's experiment wasn't unique to us. Across the galaxy, other civilizations were being tested, guided toward the same profound revelation we had discovered. Looking out at the vast expanse of space from the observation deck, I couldn't help but smile at that irony. Humanity had finally proven itself among the stars, not by conquering or dominating, but by learning to see beyond the boundaries of conflict. Our greatest weapon had become our greatest tool for preservation. The TSS Odyssey's engines hummed to life, now enhanced by drachnid quantum crystals. As we prepared to jump to our first assignment, I thought about all the humans who had dreamed of this moment, not of victory over aliens, but of true cooperation among the stars. We had unlocked the seventh dimension seeking power, only to find purpose instead. Captain Richards gave the order, and our combined fleet moved in perfect formation. The stars stretched around us as we entered dimensional space, ready to face whatever challenges awaited. The galaxy's laughter had indeed ended, but what replaced it was something far more precious: hope. As we ventured into the unknown, I realized that our story would be told, not as one of warfare or dominance, but as a testament to the power of understanding. In reaching for the stars, we had found not just new allies, but our true place in the cosmic dance of reality itself. The laughter had stopped, but the real adventure was just beginning.